Shalom Israel. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honor to the elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to the elect out there doing this work of faith and labor of love and truth, sincerity. Okay, and I just wanted to touch on a couple articles. What's briefly been going on. Between the eagle and the bear. Okay, so get straight into it. All right, and this article came out a little earlier today, and it reads, EU sanctions. Moscow disappointed by EU's inability to act independently of U.S. Okay. Moscow is disappointed by the EU's inability to act independently from Washington's dictation in the international arena, the Russian Foreign Ministry said in response to the new package of sanctions. We feel ashamed for the European Union who, after long searching for a unified voice, is now speaking with Washington's voice. That basically they letting America, speak up for them, basically, having practically abandoned basic European values, including the presumption of innocence. Because Russia's being blamed all that, for what happened with the plane thing and things of this nature. You know what I'm saying? So it's basically saying that the EU is dropping their principles just to side up with America and to do whatever America says, man. Okay? And that's exactly what's happening. All right? Reading on, it says, the Foreign Ministry said in a statement Wednesday, a day after the EU adopted a new round of economic sanctions against Russia over the Ukrainian crisis. All right? The EU's adoption of new anti-Russian sanctions on July 29th demonstrates its lack of political will in general, as well as a lack of determination to resolve the Ukrainian crisis, the Foreign Ministry said. So I'm going to jump down, in this article a little bit, okay? And it reads, it appears that the EU is ready to suffer serious economic costs for the sake of implementing questionable geopolitical schemes, which are in fact not their own schemes, the ministry said. So what Russia is basically saying is that the EU is willing to suffer a money loss, for the fact of playing America's game, basically. Because it said which are in fact not their own schemes. So they're saying all the plots and the planning that it seems to be coming from the EU is really backed by America. Okay? Because America basically runs the EU, man. That's why in the scriptures, I'm going to grab the scripture real quick. Okay, and it says, Revelation 17:3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And that woman, which represents America, that sits upon a scarlet-colored beast, which is NATO, because when you jump down to, verse 15, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And that's the nations of NATO, which America sits upon, man. And America is riding that thing out. And that's basically what Russia is saying by making a statement that the EU is not acting upon themselves. They're acting upon the schemes of what America wants to push. They're acting upon America's agenda to try to make Russia bow down to them and bend the knee, man. Okay? Reading on, the Russian and EU economies, Moscow said, are communicating vessels, and Brussels' new sanctions will also have an impact on the EU economy. Russia also pointed out that sectorial sanctions contradict the World Trade Organization rules. Additionally, financial limitations may have a negative impact for the EU banks working in Russia. So with these sanctions and what America has just played, what the EU has just placed upon Russia, is going to have effect on not just Russia, but other parts over there in Europe, man. Because Russia is a big part of the economy over there in Europe overall, man. Okay? So this next one, Moscow, U.S. will feel tangible losses from destructive myopic sanctions. Basically means like short-sighted or narrow-minded decisions. Okay, so it says the new round of American economic sanctions imposed against Russia over the Ukrainian crisis will only further worsen relations between Washington and Moscow, the Russian Foreign Ministry said. Washington will gain nothing from such decisions except for further complication of Russian-American relations and the creation of unfavorable atmosphere in international affairs, where the cooperation between our countries often plays a key role, the statement by the ministry reads. Right, so what they're saying is that things are only going to get more tenser between us. So basically, what the Mossad is what speeding this process up a little bit. He's getting their blood, both sides' blood's boiling a little more, man. This is only going to increase things, and that's exactly what us brothers in this truth want. We want for the Lord to heat things up, to bring upon His destruction, so we can get up out of here, man. Okay. We have repeatedly spoken about the illegitimacy and groundlessness of U.S. sanctions against Russia, it said, commenting on a new package of sanctions announced by Washington on Tuesday. In addition to steps taken earlier, the U.S. has now added 4 new names to the list of Russia-affiliated entities sanctioned by Washington, including the Bank of Moscow, the Russian Agricultural Bank, and VT Bank OAO, as well as the state-owned United Shipbuilding Corporation. So they placing heavy sanctions upon Russia, man, which like I said, ultimately is going to have an effect on Europe in general, man. Okay. Reading on, it says, EU sanctions on Russian finance could cripple London. Okay. And it reads, the EU plans to widen economic sanctions against Russia, but London, already on rocky ground with the EU, would be hit the hardest if tougher restrictions are slapped on Russia's big state banks. If agreed, EU sanctions would apply to all Russian banks that are more than 50% state-owned. Cyberbank, VT Bank, the country's 2 largest lenders, are both listed on the London Stock Exchange and have offices there. If Russian banks get hit, the ripples would be felt across the English Channel and in the heart of the world's financial center, the city of London. Okay, read on a little more. London has more than 50 companies that have operations in Russia on its $3.6 billion stock exchange. Russian companies often choose London for their initial public offerings and borrow debt from London-based banks. Right, so this is going to have a big effect over there in Europe in general, man. And that's exactly what we're looking for, man. But America is ultimately doing this, to try to make Russia bow down and bend the knee. But we know that the Spirit of the Lord is upon them to do these things, man. Yeah, quick scripture. All right. This is, Isaiah. Okay. Oh, Slakia. Isaiah. Yeah, this is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes, which is the Russians, against them. Against what? America, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Right? So, America is trying to put these heavy sanctions, upon Russia to affect all of Europe over there. But no matter what, Russia is not going to bow down and bend a knee, man, because the Lord has the Spirit upon them, to go head up with them, no matter what the cost, man. These Russians, they want blood, man. They seeking blood, man. Okay, so that pretty much is it. You know what I'm saying, for this lesson. I just wanted to bring out those couple quick articles, on what's been going on and showing, how the Most High is stirring things up. You know what I'm saying. So Lord willing, this be the year we be up out of here. So brothers, keep watching. You know what I'm saying. So with that, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shmi Yahushai. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to Lek up there, doing this work of faith and labor of love and truth and sincerity. Shalom, death to America.